Indeed, exactly 2 years ago, in mid-March 2020, in the middle of the pandemic crisis, we were taking important decisions. You may remember the first decision were taken exactly in mid-March from the ECB and from the Commission on fiscal rules and on state aid rule. Now, 2 years after, we are facing a war in our border. And so the first message, I think, for all of us, as Pascal said, is a message of support, of solidarity. We are trying to support Ukraine from several points of view, with sanctions, with economic and financial support, with diplomatic effort, delivering also military equipment. And this is our main task. At the same time, the discussion was needed and very useful among finance ministers on the implication of this Russian invasion for the European economy. Let me very clearly state that it is too soon to have a clear measure of the quantity of this impact. But it is clear that our winter forecast that we're projecting a 4% growth for this year looks now overly optimistic. There are several channels through which GDP will be affected. The higher commodity prices, notably gas and oil, but also wheat prices, the aggravating supply disruptions, and significantly higher uncertainty affecting both economic and financial sector confidence. Also, fiscal costs may be significant for the support to Ukraine, for bolstering defense spending, for decoupling from Russian energy, for assistance to high number of refugees, and for continued support to deal with high commodity prices. This is why we were very clear when, at the beginning of March, we presented our fiscal guidance for 2023, that we would need to stand ready to adjust our policy response to the rapidly changing circumstances. And there was very strong, in fact, I would say unanimous support for this approach this afternoon. As Pascal reminded, uncertainty and agility as keywords of our fiscal attitude. The application of the general escape clause in this year will help to take the necessary measures to face the challenges of this crisis. And as you know, given the current uncertainty, we also made clear that we would need to reassess the expected deactivation in 23 on the basis of our spring forecast, which I will present in mid-May. In time like these, when uncertainty is a keyword, the coordination of economic and fiscal policies is particularly important. Let us remember that this was key for successfully weathering the COVID crisis. And the uncertainty was completely different, of course, but not less than it is now. So now we are confronted with a very different crisis, but with some similarities. Both the pandemic and the war in Ukraine are huge external shocks with potentially different outcomes across the EU. These outcomes will depend on the individual countries' exposure to Russian energy, on their economic structures, and on their geographic location, and on their fiscal space. So a common response is also about tackling the risk of divergence. Again, 2 years after the crisis of the pandemic. It is important to underline that this shock occurs against a strong economic backdrop in the euro area. So it arrived when the recovery was strongly underway. If our national and EU policy responses remain fully coordinated, if we remain agile and ready to adjust as needed, I think we can ensure that the recovery is not totally derailed. This is absolutely possible if we react strongly together. And we all know that the resilience of our economy is crucial to protect our citizens, but also to protect our democracies, because this is what is at stake now. It's in this confrontation, resilience of economy is key also for the resilience of our model of the European societies. On Greece, we discussed the latest enhanced surveillance report, the 13th, which noted that the country has completed a further set of commitments and, despite some delays, also made progress in several reform areas. In sum, our assessment is that the authorities have taken necessary actions considering the circumstances. And let me recall that this report was not linked to a release of debt measures by the Eurogroup. This will be for the next report, the 14th in May. Finally, we discussed the state of play with the banking union. The geopolitical crisis unfolding at our door is a wake-up call for us to strengthen our resilience on all fronts, and this includes our financial sector. Thanks to the work done in previous years, banks were able to support economic activity throughout the COVID crisis. But there is no space for complacency. And so a fully fledged banking union remains essential. And so the Commission fully supports all the efforts that Paschal Donohoe is making to broker an agreement. I think he designed today the framework of a possible way towards an agreement. If we keep the same level of unity and determination we have shown so far throughout both the pandemic and the first weeks of this conflict, I am confident that we will be able to forge a way forward also on this front. And this is my conclusion. Let me only join Paschal in thanking and congratulating Klaus, that of course will work with us also for several months, but in this occasion to thank him and congratulate him from all his work. Thank you.